6. Oh, that's very good. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the latest episode of Games Up podcast. My name is Cameron, and I am joined, as ever, by my wonderfully voiced friend, Lewis Crawford.
Hello there.
Bonjour. How are you?
I am good. In a French accent.
I was going to say, you are good and kind of French.
Yeah, I'm good.
Good. Excellent. Have you had a good week?
Yeah, just kind of been relaxing, to be honest. It's kind of, starting December and starting the Christmas season, everything's kind of slowing down.
That sounds fucking lovely.
You can relate.
No, not in the slightest. I have had one of the oddest, busiest, unnervingest weeks of recent memory.
Nervingest.
Yeah, I'll talk about that later when we're not recording a thing, but yeah. So, usually we start this show by asking, what have we been playing this week? But you suggested to me that we do something different. So, Lewis, what's our indie game of the week?
Yeah, so our indie game of the week, I received this week on Humble Bundle from the monthly, is Nex Machina. It's a top-down arcade twin-stick shooter-style game. Kind of like, the classic top-down games. And it is beautiful. It's kind of like one of those... I really like these games where they take an old-style concept and they remake it in, 2017. So you take an old... something that used to be like a top-down pixelated, quite rough-looking game, and you make it in a beautiful engine with amazing graphics and voxels. It's we've been playing it. Me and my partner have been playing it multiplayer because it's got local co-op, which I love.
Nice.
It's always good when games have local co-op. It's done really well. It's really well received. It's made by a company called Housemarque. Yeah, I don't know.
It's Housemarque.
Yeah, but it's got that the marquee part of it. Yeah.
No. That's I think you have to have a little thing on the end of it to be a marquee.
Ah, okay, fair enough.
I think.
But I think what really sells it for me is just how beautiful it looks. We've talked before about how graphics kind of resolution will hit its limit, and then we'll start looking at more and more pixelated, more and more pixels involved in effects.
Yeah.
Your fire effects will have more and more little particles in it that makes it more advanced. And this game really utilizes that. It doesn't look graphically advanced, but you couldn't run it on you couldn't run it on a PS2 or you couldn't run it on a PS3 even.
Yeah. Housemarque are known for their retro 8-bit but super graphically intensive games.
Yeah.
Not where you think it would be, but they are.
Yeah. So I've really enjoyed it. Really enjoying it.
Very nice. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. If you're looking for an indie game this week, that's Housemarque's Nex Machina. Very nice. Should we start with the news?
Yes.
Number 1, EA's acquisition of Respawn is complete as of today, meaning that the company now fully own the studio behind Dead Space and all of their future work.
See, it's funny. We talked about this before, and then I think since or during that time, it's the whole EA loot box controversy thing has happened, and now I'm less confident and happy about Titanfall being in their hands.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's I don't, don't bolt the dog to the cart before it, whatever. I can't remember that saying. But, maybe this will be good. Maybe Titanfall 3 would be great. Maybe, who knows? Maybe they'll do exactly what they've done to a bunch of other studios and they'll be dead within years.
Yeah.
Number 2, we have had updates for PUBG on Xbox and DayZ for console. Apparently DayZ is still slated to come out, although now it's going to be next year, and PUBG is potentially going to run at 60 frames per second on the Xbox One X and locked at 30. I know, hold on, I know what you're going to say. It's launching at 30 for all consoles, but it seems fairly set that it'll bump up to 60.
Really? Okay. I don't think it will, but okay.
Oh, really?
Well, I mean, so the problem is that lots of top PCs have trouble running it at 60 frames per second. It won't be 4K 60 frames per second. I can tell you that now.
Oh God, no! But I mean, the game doesn't even look 4K. Like,
No, of course.
I can't imagine what PUBG would look like in 4K normally.
Yeah, the thing is that there is like lots of more powerful processors have trouble with it. So unless there's like, it is possible probably if they do like special optimization, they'll manage some way around it. But as it stands, I would say it's probably not possible to run it at 60 frames on properly. Because the problem is that it's no good running at 60 frames if you drop to 30 every so often, because you'll notice and it will look terrible.
I don't know. I think we probably will see it just down the line. I think it would be odd to speak about such a specific. Like it wasn't like they said, yeah, we're looking at higher frame rates, or yeah, we're looking at like unlocking the 30 frame rate. They said specifically 60.
Well, part of the problem with it is they might have been running a build that was like just them, like on the map alone, and that would have like a huge effect.
9 days out, you've got to hope that they're running a build that looks something like we're going to.
Yeah, but like the problem is that so Fortnite, that other game that came out and kind of like took the it didn't take the Battle Royale thunder, but it kind of like it's another game in that market.
Yeah,
and that game runs really well, like it runs fantastically, because they are actual developers who know what they're doing. And PUBG, I've talked to Rutu before how its devs are not professional devs, and so like the optimization process is going to be a long process. That's why we're so close to the launch of it on the Xbox One, and there's still these questions about people still don't know what frames per second it's going to have, and it seems like the people in charge don't know what frames per second it's going to have. So that's kind of a bit.
I don't know. This could be one of those. They're not speaking on it, or they don't know themselves. All right, number 3 on the list this week is that there is no news. There is absolutely no news. This week was dead. That was it. Those were the 2 news stories this week.
Okay.
I've been searching all day for good news, and other than that, it's like there's some exclusives from the Game Awards that are going to happen, but it seems odd to talk about them now when the Game Awards is in 4 days.
We can, and like the whole thing with Hideo coming is kind of like
right, exactly. And they talked about like the new PUBG map, and there's some rumors about what might be announced, but it's like we could talk about that now, or we could talk about it when we know what it is. So that seems odd.
Yeah.
And then like Phil Spencer has said something about games, and it's like, okay, fine, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
The one thing that is happening this week, as we've already alluded to, is the Game Awards. Jeff Keighley has done an amazing job over the last couple of years of bringing together a massive show that's genuinely starting to rival other shows in different industries. And so, as we do every year, as we've made a bit of a tradition of, we are going to predict, using our incredible psychic powers, the winners of the Game Awards, if that's all right.
Yes.
The one thing we won't predict is the stuff we don't know about, because that's how psychics work, right?
Indeed.
So, that being said, let's... you okay to jump right into it?
Yeah. I've got the site and the predictions.
Okay. So we're going to start with Best Debut Indie Game. The nominees for this year are Cuphead from Studio MDHR Entertainment, Golf Story from Sidebar Games, Hollow Knight from Team Cherry, Mr. Shifty from Team Shifty, and Slime Rancher by Monomi Park. I think I said that right. Sorry if I didn't. Any thoughts here?
So, I imagine that Cuphead will win it, but I have to say, well, talk about Cuphead. It's fine.
No. I've not played it, but with as much anticipation for it as there was, and it was fairly successful when it came out. You've got to imagine the balls in their park.
Yeah, I think personally my favorite game on that list is Hollow Knight.
Okay.
Hollow Knight is a beautiful game. But I liked Cuphead as well.
Hello, everybody listening at home. Firstly, thank you for listening. Secondly, it was at this point in the recording of the podcast that my SD card decided to tell me that it had no space left. So we kind of lost a few minutes of the discussion. We've got the other half of the discussion. We've got Lewis talking for 10 minutes, but it's a bit odd without the other half There's kind of no context to it. So we're going to jump ahead a couple of categories. I don't think we miss anything too major. Certainly the big AAA games come later on in the topic, but we might miss a couple of little indie things here and there. Sorry in advance if we do, and thank you for sticking with us. It was a minor fault, but because we record this live, as in me and Lewis take an hour to record this every week, and we've both got fairly packed schedules, re-recording it would have been an absolute biatch of a thing to do. So, sorry, we lost a few minutes. Thanks for sticking with us. And now we'll jump forward in time. Ooh, I guess. Thanks. At some point in the last 15 minutes of discussing these things, my bloody SD card filled up. Sorry. So, we're going to jump back into it now, but I don't really know where we cut off before. Sorry in advance.
Multiplayer games, wasn't it?
Best multiplayer, COD World War 2, Destiny 2, Fortnite, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, PUBG, Splatoon 2. Pick one and we'll jump on to the next one because I think that's going to have a big impact later on in the list.
Okay. Seems pretty likely that it's going to be PUBG.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Fortnite, I think, could make a fair call for it, and I think
Fortnite's actually taking over, or at least it's getting a lot more interest. Like it's being streamed a lot more. It's catching up, I guess is what I'm saying.
I saw that. I think they were very lucky that they jumped on the Battle Royale thing. I think had they not, that would have killed it. But I think doing so was a very clever move. I guess Destiny 2 could make a shout for it as well. People seem to be really enjoying that as well. So I think those are the three big ones. Best strategy game? Your nominations are Halo Wars 2, Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle, Total War Warhammer 2, Tooth and Tail, XCOM 2, War of the Chosen.
So I know what I would choose. Is XCOM.
Okay.
XCOM, like, if you've never played an XCOM game, please do, because it is like the pinnacle of alien strategy games. And like they're beautifully well thought out, and I think like in terms of the games that are there, it's the most advanced game and has like the deepest like mechanics going on behind stuff, and you know all the additional stuff you can do in that game. So I do imagine that Mario is going to win it. Though I do wonder because the only thing is with this actually, the only thing with the Game Awards is that because of the way the Game Awards is set up, it's mostly PC people who vote, which can affect how like the outcome's going to be.
Does it not have like an E3 Judges Week style thing as well, where there's industry panelists? Yeah,
it has industry panelists, but it also has like community voters, and the community voters are most likely to be like the people on Reddit.
Interesting.
And that could affect it for something like Mario. It could end up with like Total War or XCOM.
So if a bad game wins, it's your fault, basically.
Yeah.
I haven't played any of these games. I think Mario is going to take it because it's a kind of fresh thing in the strategy games. I'd have liked to see South Park have a shout at this. I think South Park basically counts as a strategy game this year.
Yeah, that's true.
RPG strategy-ish. And I think it maybe it doesn't stand up to this high level of strategy, but it'd be nice to see it there. The best family game is your next, and the nominations are Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Mario and Rabbids, Sonic Mania, Splatoon 2, Super Mario. So best Nintendo game.
Yeah.
Minus Zelda.
Huh. Apparently Mario isn't a Nintendo game. Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle isn't a Nintendo game.
No, it's Ubisoft.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I know it's announced at Ubisoft.
No, but they made a big thing about it on the stage, didn't they? About how it was the first time that Nintendo would licensed out.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with Sonic Mania. No, joking. Although lots of people like Sonic Mania, actually, but I think you'd be quite surprised if Super Mario...
Lots of people have Stockholm Syndrome. That doesn't make it a good thing.
I'd be quite surprised if Odyssey didn't take it.
Yeah, it's this one has to be Odyssey.
Yeah.
It's got to be. Your next one is Best Fighting Game. Your nominations are ARMS, Injustice 2, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, Nidhogg 2, and Tekken 7.
So I don't know if any of these games have been that popular. Which is really maybe it's just not a great year for fighting games, because like ARMS was not really released that well.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of crap.
Injustice 2 is apparently amazing.
The way they've supported it, I will say, the way they've kept Injustice 2 going is really impressive. They've done good stuff with character packs and so on and so forth.
Yeah, Injustice 2 is meant to be really good, and it's meant to. Someone said it's like the best DC story they've had. That was, like including the movies and all that sort of stuff. Which,
sorry, you go.
which I know we might disagree on. I don't know, but
what the recent movies?
Well, I don't know about recent actually. Someone said recently that they were just like it's one of the best ones that they've seen.
I'll give you recently that their stories have been crap.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that Marvel vs. Capcom came out this year.
Well, I think also it didn't come out to like critical acclaim at all.
I've seen a lot of chatter about it online. I've seen a lot of people excited and reveals and stuff, but I didn't know it would actually released.
Mm. But it's not done great as far as I'm aware.
My vote for this one would be Nidhogg 2.
I think you'll be wrong.
I wouldn't be surprised. Hold on, what's your vote for this one?
Injustice.
Yeah, I think that's
I like the first one, and I'm kind of still waiting to pick this one up, to be honest with you.
Next is your best role-playing game.
This is the category that completely just splits me 5 ways. Oi. The nominations are South Park: The Fractured Butthole, Final Fantasy 15,
ironic considering your last comment,
Divinity: Original Sin 2, Nier Automata or Nier Tomato, and Persona 5. Wait, didn't they?
A little bit.
So yeah, this category is the one that I've played all of these. To be honest, I know what I'm choosing, but it is very close.
Okay, let's do this a different way then. What is your pick, and then what's going to be the actual pick on the night?
So my pick is Nier Automata, and to be honest, it's also probably the one that's going to win, because of as I say, the voting on things like Reddit and the chats has been very good for Nier.
Okay.
It's to be honest, I think this is the thing I was saying before, is we're quite surprised that it's not up for Game of the Year. But it was the dark horse.
My personal pick would be South Park. I think on the night Persona is going to win.
Persona's really good.
Because I think it would be very odd to have
up for Game of the Year.
Persona in RPG and Game of the Year and have it not take RPG.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is why I say it splits me, because Persona and Nier are both amazing games that are able to win it.
Yeah.
Divinity is amazing. Divinity is a 10 out of 10 as far as I think IGN was concerned, or someone with GameSpot was concerned.
All right, okay.
They're all high rated.
This is a very hard category, because to get the most out of one of these kind of games, you have to put huge amounts of time into it. Especially as some of them are ongoing games, like Final Fantasy is getting support month on month now.
The best time to pick up Final Fantasy is going to be in 5 years when it's complete.
Yeah,
because they're constantly adding stuff to it.
But as a result of that, you've managed to play and get a real good perspective on a lot of these, but lots of people will have put into 1 or 2 of them, so it's a really hard category to actually properly judge.
Yeah, you're right.
The next is your best action adventure game. The nominees are Assassin's Creed Origins, Horizon Zero Dawn, Super Mario Odyssey, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and Uncharted: The Lost Legacy.
Right. It's one of those ones where I have a very it's that whole thing of the ones you've played versus the ones you've seen. Horizon Zero Dawn is such a great game. It stole E3 when it premiered. And then, to be honest, it's definitely, it deserves the position it's got. It deserves to be up for Game of the Year and all that. But then also Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and Super Mario Odyssey just had to come out in the same year. Because, honestly, Horizon, if it wasn't for Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey, it probably would get most of the awards this year, or most of the awards it's up for. Don't pull a face. It's literally one of the highest rated games this year. You always do this.
I know. I will hold my hands up and say I should play this before I make any judgments, and I should absolutely play it before I have any kind of opinion on whether this is good or not.
It's like the
As
highest
an
rated this year, and you're like,
as a bystander, I don't get what the interest in it is. Like, it seems very good, but it doesn't seem like people are talking about it as though it's like the holy grail of the year, and it doesn't seem like holy grailish to me. But
your PS4.
Holding my hands up, I haven't played it in any way. My opinion is particularly null and void on this one.
Yeah.
If I have no pick on this, I've not got to play any of these games because I hate my life. I think The Legend of
There's only
Zelda...
one that you could play, so just saying.
Yeah, all right. I think Zelda will take it.
Yeah, probably.
I think Super Mario Odyssey...
Well, there was that whole thing of it might split the votes.
Yeah, I could see it doing that. I think Odyssey could win something in a different category. I guess it does count as an action-adventure game, but it maybe feels more like a platformer or a puzzler.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, The Legend of Zelda feels like an action-adventure game and the best one of the year.
Yeah.
Best action game, your 5 nominees are Cuphead, Destiny 2, Neo, Prey, Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus.
Yeah, this one's, I don't know, I find it weird. Because it's kind of like things that could be here, things that aren't here.
There is a lot of stuff that could be here. A lot of stuff that could be here.
I think one of the problems is that action game is such a big genre that it doesn't really mean as much. Because you're like you've got a fighter game, you've got a shooter game, you've got a samurai weapon warrior game, you've got like an MMO FPS.
Yeah.
So varied. Prey was really well received this year. But then, okay, so Prey's a weird one because it divides people, I guess is what I mean. Like, critically it did okay. It was quite popular amongst a lot of people, and a lot of people were like, this is going to be the game of the year, no doubt. I know. Okay. I didn't think that. But it split people, so I could see that getting quite well.
I must admit, I didn't recognize it as like one of the top of the year. I was surprised to see it in...
Yeah, lots of people that played it were quite surprised it hasn't done better. I didn't enjoy it myself. But yeah, it did surprisingly well. I could see... I don't want Cuphead to win Best Action Game as much as it's a good game. It's not. It's not like... The problem is that it does what it does really well, but then it's not like after the same things that some of the other games are after, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I totally get what you mean. It serves its purpose well, but it's not like the most well-rounded thing that was released this year.
Yeah, exactly.
I get
that. So I'd probably say Wolfenstein.
I really want Wolfenstein to win. I think Destiny's going to take it. I don't know. I just have a feeling it will.
Okay.
And then the next category is Best VR/AR Game. I don't know if any of these count as AR, but
no.
The nominations are Farpoint from Impulse Gear and Sony, Lone Echo by Ready at Dawn, Resident Evil 7 from Capcom, Star Trek Bridge Crew from Red Storm, and Super Hot VR from Super Hot Team.
Yeah. What do you want to say? Do you want to go through?
I'm kind of torn between two here. I think Star Trek Bridge Crew is an amazing idea for a VR game. I think it's absolutely like VR wish fulfillment, which is the kind of thing that VR is doing really well at right now. And having played it very briefly, it's very good fun, and the things you can do with it are very good fun. But I think as a game, Super Hot is a much bigger achievement and it's a much more gamey game in that sense. Yeah,
I really enjoyed playing through Super Hot, not in VR, but I can imagine how cool it would be in VR. The only problem I have is that, like, I can imagine with motion controls, I kind of just shake a bit when I try and stand still. Which in Super Hot, Super Hot, the way Super Hot works is as you move, time moves. So if you're shaking, it's a problem. I can imagine.
I think it's like big gestures that make it move.
Yeah,
like, I don't think it's like you
shaking
coughed.
on the spot. It's just like, yeah, yeah. I could see Resident Evil winning it. That was a really good game this year,
Yeah.
and I would straight up crap myself playing it in VR. Like it's scary.
It is.
And if you were like, "Oh, do you want to play that in VR?" I'd be like, "No, I don't."
I also think it deserves recognition one way or another as the first kind of major full VR game.
Yeah,
Like everything else on this list is an experience, because Star Trek Bridge Crew is a game, but it's not like...
I don't know if Super Hot counts.
I guess
But you're right
Super
about
Hot
the
would be like the next one, but like Resident Evil is like a full-on big long
I
campaign
get. Yeah, okay, I get what you mean. I get what you mean. And to be honest, like I'd be quite surprised if Resident Evil didn't win this, just because it's like. So this is one of the problems about this category, is that you've got like 3 games that people who only have VR have played. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to have VR to have played like 3 of these games. Then Super Hot is a good game, and then it's up to like it's next to like one of the best games this year in Resident Evil 7, just as it is. So I'd be very surprised if Resident Evil 7 didn't win this.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think
just because it's the kind of the most accessible.
Okay, your next category is fuck off.
The one that we know nothing about.
What? Oh no, I've noted this down. Best handheld game we haven't included because
okay.
I still put all my time into Pokemon Go. Best mobile game. Best mobile game kind of feels like it should be best handheld game these days.
Yeah, that's true.
Best independent game, your nominations are Cuphead, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, Night in the Woods, Pyre, or What Remains of Edith Finch.
Right, yeah. So I've played 4 of these.
Okay.
So I'll go through a little bit. Cuphead, sure. Again, we've talked about. It's a great game. It achieves exactly what it wants to do. It's one of those ones that you kind of go like, it is an indie game, but then it's had such huge support that you're kind of like, does it still kind of count as much as an indie game? When it's got like such big backing.
Yeah.
What Remains of Edith Finch is a great game. It is like a walking simulator, so it's in that category that people are a little bit iffy on. Mm-hmm. But it is like enjoyable. Hellblade was a really good experience actually. So the biggest thing in Hellblade is it manipulates like audio. It's kind of hard to talk about too much without giving things away, but
yeah,
it's a really interesting experience. That I really enjoyed. So in this list, hard to say. I think Hellblade. I think Cuphead. Cuphead will win it. But I'd probably vote for Hellblade. I
think it's tough because like these are very, very different indie games. Cuphead and Hellblade really shouldn't be considered in the same place.
Well, they're both really big indie games.
Yeah, that's true. But you can't really make like a best walking simulator category. At that point, you're really getting too far into the weeds.
Yeah.
I think it's probably between Cuphead and Hellblade, and I think Hellblade will take it.
Okay.
Your next category is best ongoing game. Your nominations are basically all the big ongoing games. So Destiny 2, GTA Online, Overwatch, PUBG, Rainbow Six Siege, Warframe. I'm going to do what I think will win and what I'd like to win. Obviously, what I'd like to win is Overwatch.
Yeah.
I think they really have done a good job of supporting the game. And I don't know that you can say much more with that. GTA Online, they've done a great job of supporting it, but I feel like this year we heard about the stuff that kind of happened behind the scenes and why they had to support it and couldn't support single player, and I think that's kind of put a bit of a shadow on it to some extent. Rainbow Six Siege, I could actually see taking this just because of how far it's come in terms of the community that was there day one and the community that's there now. It's a very, very weird game in that it's gone from very small at launch to very big since.
Yeah.
And you don't usually see it go the other way around. So I kind of could see Rainbow Six taking it. I mean, obviously, PUBG has a a big claw on this one because it's so well known as the game that everyone's playing this year. But I think it's going to be between Rainbow Six, PUBG, and Overwatch.
Okay.
Yourself?
Yeah, kind of the same as you, to be honest. I could see PUBG taking it. I think Overwatch probably should take it. I kind of agree with you on that one. Just because I think, like as you say, they have been adding stuff, and it's not kind of as like cynically driven as something like GTA.
Yeah.
I like that, and it kind of keeps the community going a bit more instead of kind of like the sharks and the whales and all that the other stuff.
Your next category is Games for Impact. Your nominations are Bury Me, My Love, The Pixel Hunt, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, Ninja Theory, Life is Strange, Before the Storm, Deck 9, Night in the Woods, Infinite Fall, Please Knock on My Door, Laval Games AB, and What Remains of Edith Finch. To clarify a little bit for anyone who doesn't know, Games for Impact is like what's provoked the most discussion, what's been the most socially aware game this year, I guess is a fair way you can put it.
I could see Hellblade taking it again, because that was probably for me that was at least like the biggest in this 6 games. It was the biggest one that kind of like created such a big talk, and it was a big discussion, and it raised a lot of questions, and it was quite interesting.
I fully agree with you. I think Hellblade not only should take it, but fully deserves to take it and will take it. Absolutely.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm just not in a position where I know much about the others.
Yeah, I don't know much about the others either. I didn't know that What Remains of Edith Finch was received like that well. I thought it was
it was received
but
well.
not like Game of the Year well. So I'm kind of surprised to see it on this list as frequently as it is.
Yeah.
But I think Hellblade has reached above and beyond the others in terms of the discussion that's happened around it, and I think that's really important.
Yeah.
Best performance, your options are Ashby Birch from Horizon Zero Dawn as Aloy, Brian Bloom, Wolfenstein 2 The New Colossus as BJ Blazkowicz, Claudia Black from Uncharted The Lost Legacy as Chloe Fraser, Laura Bailey from Uncharted The Lost Legacy as Nadine Ross, and Melissa Juergens from Hellblade as Senua.
Yeah. So I played everything. Yay. It doesn't always happen. So yeah, like they're all really good performances. This is actually a difficult choice. I think I can rule out Wolfenstein, BJ Blazkowicz, Brian Bloom. I'm sorry, but like the other performances are better.
Perhaps I could give you a couple of minutes to think about it, and I'll.
Do you need to?
No. I've got a reason for mine.
I would probably go for Ashly Burch in Horizon Zero.
Okay. My vote would be Melina Juergens from Hellblade, purely because I know that Melina Juergens was not or had not done any major voice acting or performance capture before she was Senua. And so Senua was her debut role, and to have a debut role in the best performance that had this much impact this year, I think that's a really big thing. Yeah,
that's a good way of looking at it.
Your next category is Best Score in Music, and your options are Cuphead, Destiny 2, Nier Automata, Persona 5, Super Mario Odyssey, The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild. I'll clarify, I've played none of these, I have no fucking clue. Lewis!
So, people were surprised to see Breath of the Wild here, because it's not really known for its music.
Okay.
I think like audio design took like a little bit of a backseat to the actual thing that they were, trying to do in that game. Cuphead has amazing music. It's still kind of like a sufferer of, what we talked about before. It's a game that does what it wants to do beautifully, but it's still not like, its audio design isn't, and its score and its music isn't like huge blockbuster production. It's not like that. So for me, it's by far Nier Automata has the best soundtrack this year. I promise you that just like objectively. To be honest, I'd be surprised if it didn't get it or Cuphead didn't get it. because it has got an amazing soundtrack, and the guy who makes it came out and said like people like the soundtrack better than the game because it did so well. And it's kind of like, especially over in Japan, it's done well, which might not affect it as much over here. But I listen to that soundtrack pretty much every day.
As an innocent bystander,
You're like,
I think
Mario.
I kind of think the fight will be between Cuphead and Mario. But your next category is Best Art Direction. Your options are Cuphead, Destiny 2, Horizon Zero Dawn, Persona 5, and The Legend of Zelda.
Cuphead's going to win it.
Yeah, I think so.
But to be honest, like, I guess it could be a surprise considering that, well, kind of in the future, but Persona 5 is up for Game of the Year, so it could be a surprise win in this category. One of the things that Persona 5... Oh, if you want to go on.
No, you go.
One of the things that Persona 5 does really well is that it's like a turn-based action game.
Mm-hmm.
That, they haven't had great like strides of progress over the past, and in terms of like having like good art direction, Persona 5 is really good at taking you into a category, like a style of game you might not be used to, and getting you through it with the art. The whole game is really nicely stylized in a way that really draws you in. Because I'm although I've played quite a lot of those games, I'm not that into turn-based, and I'm not that into like the kind of the theme of that game. But the art is really quite like fantastic for kind of keeping you interested. But Cuphead will win it.
I think Persona 5 is kind of screwed here because Persona 5 is known for a very Japanese art style. It's known for a very bright, colourful art style. It's known for a very cartoony art style. And when you compare that to a lot of the things it's up against, like if you had to give bright, cartoony Japanese, you've kind of got The Legend of Zelda, which like maybe doesn't do it as well, but it's known for rejuvenating the franchise with this art style.
Yeah.
And that could really fall in its favour. And then on the other side, you've got bright, colourful, cartoony, and you've kind of got to give that to Cuphead because one of their biggest selling points is the visuals. Like it's the reason the game is where it is. So I think Persona 5 is kind of up against a brick wall here. And I think it's going to come down to The Legend of Zelda and Cuphead. I think Destiny could kind of have a shout because the set pieces in that game, the especially the raids, the set piece kind of settings you find yourself in are very beautifully produced. I don't think they're quite as definitive as Cuphead or Persona or Zelda, but I think it might have a shot.
Okay.
Your next category, Best Narrative, and the options are Hellblade, Horizon, Nier Automata, What Remains of Edith Finch.
You did.
I can't not hear it now that you've said it. Nier Automata, What Remains of Edith Finch, and Wolfenstein: The New Colossus. Lewis, tell me why Horizon is going to win.
Well, I mean, it probably will. I'll be honest, here it's probably between Nier and Horizon. I would probably give it to Nier.
Okay.
Because I think that game like had lots of twists in it and lots of exciting turns and all. Like it's one of those games that kind of sucks you in and draws you in and like keeps you watching because you're interested in just the narrative alone. Like there isn't. It's one of those games that you could strip down all of the gameplay and you'd probably be happy watching it as a movie. But I could see it easily going to Horizon as well. I can't see it going to Wolfenstein.
Really?
Yes, but it's mostly because of how like you'd understand if you'd played Wolfenstein, but it's kind of you'd understand if you played games. But like it's I can't see anyone who's completed that game giving it to a Wolfenstein, and that's not that it doesn't have a good narrative. It's just that kind of like it has a bit of a ending sting that kind of puts you off a little bit.
Oh right, okay.
It's nothing negative. It just ends very suddenly.
I personally think it's going to be an underdog, and I think Hellblade's going to take it.
I don't think so.
I mean, realistically, it's probably between Horizon and something else.
Yeah.
But I'd like to see Hellblade take it because of reasons I stated before. And then your two final categories are Best Game Direction, Horizon Zero Dawn, Resident Evil 7, Super Mario Odyssey, The Legend of Zelda, and Wolfenstein 2.
Breath of the Wild is going to win.
Totally disagree. I think Mario Odyssey takes it.
Okay. All right.
I think
it will be between those two. As much as I want it to be Horizon because it's the one that I've played, it probably will be between those two.
I think it'll be between... This is going to sound unlikely, but I think it'll be between Legend of Zelda, Mario, and Resident Evil.
Okay.
I think game direction is a very odd thing, because we kind of don't think about directors in the gaming industry. You think of a director of a film, you know what they do. You think of a director of an album, you don't really have directors of an album, but you know what cohesion looks like in other mediums, and cohesion in video games is a weird thing. Mario Odyssey is weirdly cohesive despite the fact that it's like so many different environments and mechanics and platforms and so on and so forth. And then Resident Evil, I think, because it changed the franchise.
Yeah, that's true.
And it did it so cohesively and so meaningfully that when you think of Resident Evil, Biohazard, Resident Evil 7 is what you think of.
Yeah.
That's a big thing for that franchise and the person who took on the role of doing it. So I think that could work in its favour.
Definitely.
And then the one that's going to divide us quite a lot.
Yeah.
No?
No, I mean it will. But only because your choice is wrong.
Yeah, probably.
Out of the 5 choices, you've chosen the one that's wrong.
I literally don't think you even know what I'm picking yet.
Okay.
Game of the Year is the final category is Game of the Year, and the contenders are Horizon Zero Dawn of Guerrilla Games, Persona 5 from Atlas, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds from PUBG Corp, Super Mario Odyssey from Nintendo, and The Legend of Zelda from Nintendo.
Okay. So let's hear which one. Okay, fine. So my game here, like, you know, choosing it as me personally because I haven't played Legend of Zelda and Super Mario Odyssey. Horizon Zero Dawn is probably the one that's kind of kept me interested enough. I'm still playing Persona 5 at the moment, so it's between, like, for me, it's between those games. And it divides me a little bit hard to say which one I like more out of those two.
Okay.
Probably Horizon.
I think I'm probably going to have to abstain from this. I've not played
Okay.
any of them really. From a personal perspective and from what I know of an industry perspective, my vote would be PUBG, because I don't think you can inspire as many clones or attempts or so much without. Like, I think a Game of the Year should be the thing that people look back on and go, it was that year that it came out. Like, The Witcher will always be the year it came out. And I think PUBG will represent that year as the thing that came out of that year as the winner. But I don't know. Super Mario Odyssey could easily take it. Zelda could easily take it. Any of these easily could. So, from a personal perspective, that's the one. But I've played basically none of these, so no idea.
I can see, like, it's almost certainly going to be Breath of the Wild or Super Mario. But we'll see. I think it's hard pressed between them. I do think that there is that chance that it divides the vote and, like, Persona 5 wins somehow. But they're all, well, I argue apart from PlayerUnknown's backgrounds, I think, like, they're all very deserving to be up there. Kind of wish my choice of Game of the Year was up there, which you probably know what it is by now. Yeah. Oh, that face you're pulling. No, if it was up to me, it would be Nier. But we'll talk about that more later.
Yeah, we will. I've played 3 or 4 games this year, and 2 of them are indies. So they lasted a couple of hours. I barely got into gaming. It's not that I've not got into it. I've just barely had time for it.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and take a good couple of days off and do nothing but play some games, do nothing and finish some stuff and get through what I really need to. But I kind of feel like I've not done a very good job of being.
Well, I mean, if you
Like,
played 3 or 4, I'd say probably not.
No, but like we're not really held to any standards, right? Like nobody's. But not, I mean, realistically, like,
No.
other than the standards we hold each other to, nobody, I mean, barely anyone is going to fucking listen to this anyway. But of the people, but of the people who do, nobody's going to be like, oh, you voted South Park, but it's all you've played. But it would be a fair thing to say, and I like, I know what my movie of the year is. My movie of the year, by far and away, is Blade Runner.
Okay, yeah, I've heard that was really good.
Unless, like, in the next, oh shit, Star Wars comes out. Okay.
Mm.
But like up at this point, but I've watched like 15 films this year, so I have a really good understanding of why it's my film of the year and what came into close contention. I've got nothing for that for gaming this year, and I kind of feel like that's a bit shit. So I'm gonna try and do better over the next couple of weeks so that our game of the year show is more informed than this has been.
Okay,
From my side, at least.
I'll buy you a PS4. No.
Please. Literally, though, you'd probably be doing damage to yourself, because if you bought me a PS4, my game of the year would be Crash.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Like Japanese JRPGs have had such a big hit this year.
I think it's kind of fascinating that JRPGs have done so well in the year that Final Fantasy came out. Like, you'd have thought that this year Persona would have been like, fuck no, I'm going next. And everything else would have shifted, but they've kind of all risen on a rising tide.
I think, like, so this is, we were talking about, like, the whole Xbox, not a great year for them. I think one of the big things is that, like, there's just been, like, you've got Nier, Persona 5, that's what I can think of right now. But they're, like, they've been all quite big hitters in this. Mm-hmm. And so, like, the Japanese games have done really well this year. Oh, and Yakuza. That did really well. You'd be surprised.
I would.
Like, there's been lots of surprise hits from Japanese developers this year.
Yeah, I would agree. It's non-Western stuff has done surprisingly well. Let's wrap this up. Thank you very much for joining me and giving me your predictions, Lewis.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to me.
It's been a pleasure. Will you be playing anything specifically this week?
Just my Humble Bundle stuff. I got a game called Strafe, which is another one of those like reimagined old games. It's like a Doom style, but done now in 2017 by indie devs.
Nice. Okay. I plan to try and get to the other end of South Park. I'm pretty near it at this point, so I'm quite excited to doing that. And we will speak to you next week as we edge ever closer to our Game of the Year show and various Christmas specials. I assume we're doing those this year. So, thank you very much for joining me, and we will see you next week. But until then, the game is well and truly... Oh, and enjoy the Game Awards, obviously. They're on Thursday. The game is well and truly up.